Okay, we'd like to welcome you to our second edition of JCI Processing Company's new series called Let's Talk Business. In this series, we're going to today go over home-based businesses. But before we get into the dialogue on that, we're going to answer a few questions that did come into us over the internet, and they were relative to that. So one of the questions that we got was, what type of home business are out there, and which one will be the best one for us to get involved with? So I'm not going to say that there's any business that you should get involved with one over the other, but I can tell you several that are out there. Some are very commonly known and some are not as commonly known. So some of the companies that are really commonly known, of course, one very old company is called Amway. A lot of people have different opinions about this company, but they've been around for a long time. And obviously, since they've been around for a long time, they must be doing something right. A very another long-lasting company is Avon. That's another company that's been out there for a long time, so a lot of people are involved with Amway. You also have companies like Prepaid Legal. That's another company that is doing really well. You have A.L. Williams. You have Noni Juice. You even have a company called Melaleuca. That's one that I'm personally involved with. So there's all types of companies out there. There used to be some called 2x2, different things of that nature. So understand, when you think about a home-based business, you want to get involved with something that allows you to get involved without a lot of your time, and preferably not a large investment up front. So people out here have different opinions about home-based businesses, but before the end of this, hopefully you'll understand why they're so important and why you definitely should have one right now, right away. Okay? Hopefully that answered that question. One of the other questions that we got that came into us was, if I have a home-based business, what's the actual benefit? And so before I answer that question, that is one of the things that we will address in the short time that we're going to talk about the topic, and that is, having a home-based business can do a lot for you even if that home-based business is not profitable. So very quickly and shortly, the benefit of those is, when you get involved in a home-based business, regardless of which type that you choose, one of the benefits of getting involved with a home-based business is it allows you to tap into tax advantages that you currently don't have when you are not involved in a home-based business. So if you are not involved in a home-based business, then your tax advantages are limited to if you have children under the age of 17, if you own a home, that you get those deductions based off of taxes that you're paying, or some form of tax credit for your children who are under the age of 17. That typically are the most common and almost the only type of tax advantages someone can tap into, unless you have something like a mutual fund, or money market, or a 401k, and that money is being taken from your paycheck. So those are things, or tax advantages that you have. But for people who get involved in home-based businesses, the doors open up astronomically. So hopefully that answered your question. So what I like to do is get real briefly into the topic of home-based businesses. We refer to them as HBBs, so it just stands for home-based business, and we want to discuss the importance of them. And one thing that I found is, most people get confused with being overly concerned about what the vehicle is and not what the vehicle does for them. And so I want to, say that again and make sure that you really understand. A lot of people get overwhelmed with what the vehicle is and not what the vehicle does for them. That's a very important thing for you to understand, because when you're only concerned about what the vehicle is, you yourself, definitely people around you, will talk you out of getting involved with some things like the home-based businesses we mentioned early. And typically they talk you out of it for one or two reasons. One, primarily because they don't understand that home-based business themselves, or they don't understand how to make it work for them effectively, other than the revenue you may create from having that home-based business. And there's so much more to them than that. So it's important for you to understand what the vehicle does for you, just not what type of vehicle that you're using. Okay? So one of the great things about having a home-based business is, when you get involved, one, typically there's a very low buy-in, meaning you don't pay a lot of money to get involved. And like the ones we mentioned earlier, the buy-in is really inexpensive. And when you understand how to use it most effectively, the money that you invest to buy into the business can become a tax deduction to you. So you have a means of recouping either a tax credit or recouping that money back in the form of investment. Once you have that home-based business, now we're talking about what the vehicle can do for you, not what type of vehicle it is. One of the benefits of having those home-based businesses, it opens the door for many tax advantages that someone who only has a job that's an employee cannot tap into. So when you have your home-based business, some of the things that you can take advantage of right away is, of course, if you have a designated space within your dwelling, whether that's a home that you're purchasing or even an apartment that you're renting, if you designate a space within that apartment or home, then you have the ability to write off a percentage of your mortgage or your rent. The standard is 10%. So for some people, that could be astronomical. And in the seminars that I do, called the Home-Based Business Tax Savers, what we talk about is we can show people how to invest as little as $100, no more than $300, and then we can guarantee that we can show them how they can then save at minimum $2,000 at the end of the year on their tax return. So one of those examples is if you get involved in a home-based business, we're going to say you invest $300. In that $300 investment, one, we can show you how you can write off that $300 or recoup it. The second part is, let's just say you live in an apartment and you're paying $900. Well, we know that automatically we can write off 10% of that, so that's $90 a month times 12, then you're talking $1,080. So at that point, we got a $1,080 deduction before we've even engaged what the business is really going to do, what the product is, but we tapped into a write-off. Another thing that we can do immediately is then tap into the tax advantage of the utilities of that apartment or home. You have the ability to write off another 10%. So let's just say you spend $200 monthly. Now I know that's really low because you live in California and that would just be Edison alone, but we're going to use that number for easy numbers. So at that point, times 12, that will be $200 at 10%, which is $20 times 12 months. Now you're talking another $240. So we put that $240 on top of the $1,080 that we had. So now that puts us at $1,320. And then we also invested $300, which we're going to get back. So now we're at $1,620. And these are the first and immediate quick advantages that you have, and you haven't even started conducting business at that time. Another thing that we can do is show you how you can create a mileage log in reference to the home-based business. And just for simple numbers, we'll just say you write off 100 miles a month, which would be roughly 1,200 miles a year, and that deduction would come up to at least about $300 to $500, closer to the low side, maybe about $380 that you can write off. But when you think about the numbers we were at earlier, being 1620, you're at another $300 plus, we're already close to the $2,000 mark, and all we did was write off a portion of our home or rent, our mortgage or rent, some of our utilities, and some mileage on our vehicle. We didn't address how you can write off certain repairs on your vehicle. We didn't write off if you actually are engaged in the home-based business that you got involved with and you're traveling, whether it be out of state or further up north or down south, that you can write off the airfares, that you can write off hotel fees. We didn't even talk about that if you're a smart guy like myself and you want to take your wife out from time to time and treat your wife to a great dinner, you can do that and pick the restaurant of your choice. Now, my wife really likes Ruth Chris, so we like to go to San Diego to Seaport and we will eat at Ruth Chris. Well, I can write that meal off because I always take the time to talk to people. So while I'm waiting, I might speak to the person waiting, standing next to me, maybe ask them for a business card, give them mine based off of what they say to me. But at that minute, I just transacted business. So when we sit down and eat dinner, I'm going to write that meal off because I transacted business. If I do get a business card, then I'll write on the back, this is someone that I talked to, and I may or may not do a follow-up call, but at that point, I'm going to write that meal off. Now, one of the things occasionally that we will do is we may not order alcohol to make sure we can write off 100%. If I know I'm going to be out and maybe with a friend or so, and we're going to be out kind of on an entertainment type thing, so it still may be a dinner, but we're going to be talking, and we're having alcohol, maybe a drink or so. Again, as long as I discuss my business, I can then still write that event off under the forms of entertainment. So again, these are just benefits that we can do, and strategically, you can say once a quarter, I'm going to have a very good dinner with my wife or a counterpart or a co-worker or someone that you're prospecting, and you can write that situation off. So that could be as much as $50 or $100, whatever it may be. But when you think of adding that up for a whole year, once a quarter, that's 4 meals. Maybe those 4 meals at $50 each become $200 that now I can write off at the end of the year on my personal tax return. So once again, what we're talking about, a home-based business will allow you to do so many things that you cannot do. And so in conclusion, I'd like to really say that I think the thing that we miss the most is because we are so afraid because someone around us has given some home-based business a bad rap or it didn't work for them, things of that nature. Typically it didn't work for them, because they were worried about what the vehicle was and not what the vehicle would do. Again, they were worried about what the vehicle was and not what the vehicle would do. So if you want more information, give us a call at JCI Processing Company. You can go to our website, which is www.jciprocessing.com, or give us a call at 1-800-524-6122. Feel free to come out to any one of our seminars when we talk about this in more detail. But let me leave you with this last thought. If you are not involved in a home-based business in today's time, then you are actually supporting and giving money away. If you want to stop giving money away and you're tired of Uncle Sam actually getting all of the money or more than you think they should, one of the easiest ways for you to tap into this and change that outcome, get yourself a home-based business. If you're interested in a great one, give me a call. I'm involved, doing very well, and I have the perfect business for you that's a low investment with high returns, and I can show you how to make it work. Thank you.